What's up, ladies and gents, and welcome back to Age of Empires Definitive Edition. Today we are here with the Slinger Rush, and let's jump right into it, as I will explain what we are going to do. Basically, it's like the X-Men Rush, which we already covered, just that you go into Slingers. We're playing with Chosen because they don't really have any sort of Civ bonuses that tilt the strategy into any direction. Obviously Carthage is a good rushing civilization because of their start with extra resources, for example, and it was important for me that we choose a Civ here for the strategy that doesn't have something like that. So we play it kind of vanilla without any bonuses that apply to it. I recorded the strategy already, and I built up everything as necessary, and then I realized I randomed the Hittites, which don't get any slingers, so that was a bit of a mess. But yeah, the starting build-up is very similar to what you get with the X-Men Rush. You want to relatively quickly reach the next stage, and then you want to use that to rush your enemy. Obviously we have 6 on the berries. You can go 5, I prefer 6. There is a lot of personal preference in that. Again, I just think 6 makes the villager production a lot more fluid, and you don't really run the risk as much of having a hole in the villager production if you go with 6 on the berries, where we have some gazelles. I always want to call them deer, thanks to AoE 2. Where we have some stone. Stone obviously important for slingers because they cost stone, and we're actually going to have a short hole. Yeah, but it was very short. And where if you only have 5, you can get a little lapse in the villager production. We're actually going to build a house here. This is not the greatest map if you want to play defensive, but we aren't going to play defensive, so that's okay. We are going to... What are you doing? There is a... What? Why did he go there? We're sending another guy out to scout, because this guy will now lure the gazelles to the town center. Which is an important thing to incorporate into your game, that you lure gazelles. Gazelles run away from you. It's kind of like the deer luring in AoE 2, which you may or may not have seen in a video or incorporated yourself before. But make sure you remember that deer runs away or gazelles run away. So that is important to remember. Oh, we pulled it right in the stone. That wasn't ideal, but okay. And we're close to building our storage pit. That is going to be an important building. This guy is still scouting. I am hoping to find... some elephants that I can lure. I haven't found elephants in any of my past 3 or 4 games that I try to record a strategy on, and it's just... I had to play all of them without elephants. I just haven't found any. It was like it was cursed. We're going to put the storage pit down here, so we can grab some wood and combine that with the stone. Now the wood line is terrible, I must admit. So this is a wood line where you would probably prefer to... This guy will now search for the enemy, where you would probably prefer to build a second storage pit when the time comes. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. These guys will also go for the wood, and we will send this guy here to assist in luring the deer. Stop getting stuck on one another. The AI is a serious problem in this game. I just hope we can find the enemy in a reasonable time frame. And we go with 20 villagers, I would say. And this guy will lure another gazelle, not deer, a gazelle. This guy is scouting the bottom, this guy is scouting the top. There's a lot of stone mines, so I could imagine that there's an opponent over here. That would make sense. We are now waiting on the 500 food. Need to get closer to lure that. Or to kind of push it. It's not really luring, it's pushing. The effect is the same. We call it whatever you want. The effect is the same. I think it's up here somewhere, our enemy. There's a wood line. So we want to build a barracks. And we are going for a little bit more food here. Oh, we are grabbing stone already. I didn't foresee that. Obviously we want to build a barracks here close to the enemy. And right now I'm waiting on the wood to come in. So far the build is exactly the same. Oh, that is very close. Hope we don't get interrupted here. There's an elephant and there are some more berries. And there's a lion. So this is very close to the enemy, but it's okay. Like, this is a bit of a weird build here. And these guys also build another house. What is important is once you reach the next stage, you obviously want 2 barracks in the end. One is not going to sustain you too long. And I think I want to grab these berries as well, because of a free food source. So we have 2 barracks then, which is important. Yeah, I think I want the elephant. It's not too far from the storage pit. I might actually lure it. At least up here. And now these guys will also build a market. I want to go for 2 barracks. You can go 3, but that is really dedicated. And we want a market as soon as we hit the tool age. And we also want the slingers. And I'm actually going to gather them here because I don't want them to attack immediately. But the important part about the slingers is, and now we put one on stone because now the production begins. That's close enough to where I don't really care. We're now going to start farming as well, but the important part is to get stone mining because it's actually important enough for me to cancel this, and I'm not going to pursue this any further. That is also a lot about personal preference. Build a granary here. And now, once this technology is done, the slingers will become a lot better. As you can see, they have 2 attack right now, and that's not so much. That's not so much at all, and now we get some extra. And once we have 4 of them, we will attack, especially once we have the upgrades. We will start attacking, and we also take some guys off wood now and put them onto the farms. These two guys also go for the berries. And then soon we should be able to get a food economy that can sustain what we need. Let's build some houses as well. We have one guy on stone right now. We will probably increase it to 2, depending on how this is going. But as you can see, we have range, so that just makes them much better raiding units. And now I switch into economy because we have a little raiding force, and usually they don't have much to fight you with. Now you can obviously go full into the Slinger Rush, but just having something to raid, especially in lower rated games, will give you a huge advantage. And then you just want to make sure you don't completely neglect your own economy, because it's very hard to have an economy that can sustain constant Slinger production from 2 to 3. You can just kite them, because obviously, as I said, you have range, so you can't try to run away. Especially like if they try to fight, they are more or less dead. And now this will hurt them a lot more than it will hurt you, but they can probably wipe you. So you sometimes want to make sure that you regroup. And now our economy is at a point where we can actually sustain a fairly consistent production. With one guy on stone, mind you. So it's not the most stone intensive strategy in the world. And obviously we need a lot of wood to also sustain the production of A, the farms, and B, we also want another storage, but this walking distance is pathetic. Maybe put it up here, that's a better wood line. But the important part is you use your range to raid them, and you can also take down buildings with them in a reasonable time frame. Not very fast, but once you have a group. But I'm not actually going to bother with it right now. So we are just supplementing this army, and we are now getting close to a point where we could transition out of it, because obviously our economy has been evolving throughout that time, and we are also getting at a point where we can get some other upgrades and do things where we say, okay, that makes us stronger and puts us in a stronger position. And now we have an army size where they also can no longer just rush into us and hope that it works. And as you can see, we can now very comfortably produce slingers and still make sure our economy is getting up there. Now, as you can also see, we have a slinger army size where we can just snipe villagers. Get another house. And depending on the population limit, you now either want to completely stop production of anything and just gather up food to go to the Bronze Age, or just go completely into slingers to finish your opponent. This is now the point where the transitions are being made. And as you can see, we are still fully determined to just end them with slingers, but well, not fully determined. This would also be a point where you can go for triple barracks, or even 4 barracks at this point, because our food income has improved so much. Yeah, and they resigned. So there it's really all about reading the game and what you want to do. You can then increase it to 3-4 barracks without too much trouble. Or you can say, well, I stop Slinger production, I just harass them with my range, harass the wood lines, harass the resources. Just make sure I do damage, and I stop the production, and I see that I improve my economy and go to the Bronze Age and then attack with stronger units. And then the transitions are endless there. And the advantage of a Slinger rush, in my opinion, is the stone cost is minimal. And depending on how many Slingers you go for, you might want to add 1 or 2 more people on stone. The most important thing is you have at least 2 barracks, so you get out a couple units quickly. Can go for free, but at least 2. And you get the early market to get the stone mining technology, because that is very important. It gives you extra attack, and it's just so important to make the Slingers useful. I mean, we can just quickly show the technology to reiterate the point. You have +1 Slinger attack and range. That's what stone mining does, and it's so important. And then once you can afford it a little later, you get woodworking. Because that is a very, very useful upgrade to have. So those are the market technologies that you want. And really then you just go at them with Slingers, and the range just gives you such a great advantage. And once you have a group of them, they can just snipe units very well, and it's a pretty good strategy to go for. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and until next time, farewell.